We are live. Welcome to episode 8 of the Cubbie Climb. I'm Jacob. I mess it up every time. I got Blake over there to my left, my right, and then Brett as well. Got a loaded show today. We got to talk about Matt Shaw. Obviously, he's one of the hottest hitters in baseball since the All-Star break. We have the All-Star game festivities, and then a big trade deadline coming up. But first off, how are you guys doing?
So far, so good. Up and early here in Vegas. It's about 7:30 in the morning, so ready to roll, ready to talk some baseball, and we'll have a good show.
Yeah, doing good. Heading off to Chattanooga tomorrow for a 6-game series against the Reds AA affiliate. So pretty excited for that.
So I guess we'll start with we got a lot of positive stuff to talk about, but we'll start with Brett. You've been down for the count a little bit. The injury, the unlucky injuries have hit you. What's going on there?
Yeah, so 4 weeks ago, ran into the wall making a catch. Kind of blew up the knee, bursted bursts in my kneecap, strained my tendon, my patella tendon again, and then got healthy. Played Friday and Sunday before the break. Knee felt great, and then over break got another unlucky strike, ball ricocheted off a machine and hit me straight in the knee again. So kind of sucks. The same exact knee too, so blew it up again. But the progression has been good, and then this on my face got hit in the face by a ball. So, and I also got hit in the forearm during DP this last week as well while rehabbing. So it's been a pretty tough 3 weeks. Been pretty unlucky, but we're finally going to be able to be cleared tomorrow to be able to play. So it's been a rocky road, but I always knew that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Like none of it was season ending. So just staying mentally prepared, mentally ready, still going through all my routines. So then when I'm able to play tomorrow, it's going to feel just like I haven't missed a step.
You need it. I don't know if surely you guys have watched Seinfeld. You need to become like Bubble Boy and just everywhere you go, just wear bubble wrap to make sure that any flying baseballs aren't going to damage you.
Well, yeah, you and Jacob have something in common. Jacob got hit in the face too over break.
I did.
Talk about that, Jacob. That was interesting.
Yeah, the Cape Cod All-Star game. The Whitey Red Sox were hosting that a little over a week ago, and I was doing the fast pitch exhibit, so kids were able to throw. And this 14-year-old came up, threw 72 right at my nose from 20 feet away, so I didn't have time to react. Hit me right in the nose. It wasn't broken, but right away, I mean, bloody nose. They said I had a concussion, and so had to take a trip to the urgent care and missed the Cape Cod home run derby, which, as you know, Brett, especially at Red Wilson, that was a home run derby because of how small of a park that is. But yeah, so I texted Blake at the doctor's office, and I'm like, "Hey, look what happened!" As there's just blood all over my face.
So we got two guys on the aisle on the podcast. Hopefully, I stay off it for a
little bit. You're next. I did want to ask about those injuries, and you sort of mentioned it, but how do you stay mentally ready? Because, well, you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You're sitting there like, I can't go out and play every day. And I know that baseball is a game where, you guys want to play every day. Like you want to be involved. You want to be participating and contributing. How do you stay it's okay, I can stay ready to play when I get back?
Something that I have a bad habit of doing is we have iPads on the in the dugout. And what I really like to do is I like to watch my past at bats. I like to watch hitters have success. So I'll go to big league games and I'll watch, I'm able to watch live updates with what we have. So I can watch, so-and-so hit a home run or so-and-so hit a double, so-and-so have a good AB. And just kind of watching them have success, kind of keeps me in the mode of wow, this guy, is able to do this against this pitcher and stuff like that. And then as well as still be engaged in the game. So looking for tips from pitchers. We had something like that this past week. Asking guys what they're feeling at the plate, talking about their approach, kind of picking at their brains while they're playing definitely helps as well. So kind of those two things to stay in the mode and be ready for sure.
I think it's a good segue because we're talking about mental preparation. We're talking about the mental side of the game, as long as the physical with the injuries. This is a trade deadline week. So, especially in a season where the Cubs are buying, there's a lot of names that get thrown around. And especially the I'm not even going to say the meme because it's a real thing, is hug watch. And everyone's on hug watch now because they just don't know which players are going to get plucked from whatever team. In your shoes, being around your group of guys you've been with all season, are you guys thinking about that, or is that even like being talked about or discussed, or is it kind of like we know what's happening, we know names are getting thrown around? Because one of your teammates, Jackson Wiggins, he's been thrown around a ton online. I mean, every mock trade, every rumor, teams want this guy specifically. We talk about Johnny Long a ton. His name's been mentioned a ton. I know he's in AAA now, but you mentioned before you used to be roommates with him, so I assume you're still fairly close. How's this kind of thought process this week specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is talked about. And you 100% see the social media posts of mock trades and stuff like that. It's not like I'm not going to lie and say that people don't talk about it, because we absolutely do. But at the end of the day, I think that once the game starts, I don't think anyone's thinking about it at all. I think that most guys are thinking about it away from the field, but when you get to the field, it's kind of like still put in your work, because it shouldn't be something that affects your playing. Because at the end of the day, you might not even get traded. Like Wiggins maybe there's a bunch of deals that happen, but Wiggins doesn't get traded. You know what I'm saying? So like, you still need to be able to be present, get your work done, and improve. And but yeah, absolutely. Like there have been conversations in the clubhouse, guys like, so and so is going to get traded, or I just saw this rumor, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, we always take it with a grain of salt, because like it's never a reality until it's pen and paper, right? So
Of course.
As much as we see the rumors and everything, we really don't buy into all those things.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing, because you admitted this, and some people may say, no, we ignore all of it. You don't. You're humans. Like, you guys are normal. You guys are normal people too, that spend time on your phones and talk to people. So having to block that out mentally is, I imagine, pretty tough at times, especially like when, I mean, your name is in some mock trades, and like you said, Jackson, one of your teammates. So it's always impressive to see how players are often admit. Like Jamison Tyone last year, he said, I was on the treadmill and I look up on ESPN and they're discussing where the Cubs should trade me. And so he said, I turned it off, but I saw that. So it's all around you, especially in this day and age. It's not like, 1930, they're just, hey, let's just not grab a newspaper. Now it's everywhere you walk, there's going to be some discussion of trades. So it's always interesting to hear the player's perspective of like, yeah, you guys notice it more than we probably realize.
I was going to say, package aside, we'll stay away from the Cubs side because I don't want to really get into those waters. Is there any guy that you think specifically the Cubs should or could trade for at this deadline that would – is there anyone in your mind that you're kind of watching? Like, I kind of hope the Cubs get that guy. Like, that would be good for the team.
I mean, the one trade that everyone's been talking about that I am honestly surprised that he's able to be packaged, just because he's a very talented player, would be Mackenzie Gore.
Mm-hmm.
I want Shaw to be the everyday third baseman. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about him soon, so I won't talk too much. But just his improvement as of lately has been showing, and like I said, I've always been backing him, and I know that he has it in him, so I'm not worried about it. But I would just say Mackenzie Gore. Not that our starting pitching isn't good, but I mean, he's just really, really good, right? So
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So probably just him. Like, I want Matt Shaw to be our starting third baseman. That's a bias. That's my opinion. But whatever the Cubs decisions the Cubs make, that's what they make, and I'm sure that it's best for the team. So I 100% trust their decisions.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore is kind of, like you said, it's someone that if he is available, which he is available, then it's like you can't pass up that opportunity. Like, a guy of his caliber does not come up with this many years of control left that often. And you mentioned Matt Shaw, because Gore, I know I talked about that yesterday, and we'll talk about that over the next 3-4 days online enough, I'm sure. Matt Shaw's offensive resurgence. It's making me not want a Eugenio Suarez. Now, if they get Suarez, I'm okay with it. Obviously, the dude is hitting home runs every night. But at the same time, it's probably not smart to use your top prospects that you could be sending to get pitchers when, if you send those to get Suarez, when Matt Shaw since the All-Star break, now, albeit small sample size, but it's 28 plate appearances, he has a 444 average with a 298 WRC plus, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. So he had two home runs before the All-Star break, and he already has 4 in the 10 games since. So he's been on a tear, which again shows, like you said, Brett, he's a dude. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He can hit. Why would you trade the top prospects for Suarez? Because the Diamondbacks are asking for top prospects when you could instead ship them for someone like Edward Cabrera.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I froze for a second. Sorry, my screen was lagging. I wanted to hop in there and agree, because one of the things I did see about Matt Shaw in the second half is he's standing a little more upright in his stance. I don't know if you've seen this, Brad. I'm trying to find a good side-by-side image to share. But before the All-Star break, we talked about the leg kick a ton, and then we talked about him not being able to pull the ball in the air. And now he's pulling the ball in the air, and he's standing more upright. Do you have any decent insight on why is standing more upright more conducive to pulling the ball in the air? Because I think the Cubs have one of the highest pulled air ball rates in Major League Baseball. I think it's why a lot of their guys are seeing a lot of success. Do you also see that potentially for Matt Shaw being a disadvantage to his game, because he is known for going to the opposite field a ton? That was kind of part of his game, but he wasn't doing it for power at the Major League level. What do you kind of think of all that?
Yeah, I mean, the game is all about adjustments, and the game is also about figuring out what your weakness is and then improving on that weakness. So, especially in the big leagues, if you can't prove that you can't do something repetitive, their pitchers are so good that they're going to continue to execute on whatever your weakness is. Now, obviously, when you probably look at Matt Shaw's maybe first half, you can look at it and say, oh, he hasn't pulled balls in the air. So what do they do during the half? They say, hey, we want you to shift your focus to pulling the balls in the air. And you also said that he does hit the ball really well the opposite way. That's not something that's going to leave him. He's always still going to have that in his bag if he's continuously done it his whole entire career.
Sure.
So now, instead of shifting the focus of hitting the ball up the middle, maybe they said, hey, let's try and have you do more damage to the pull side. And if you get fooled or if you're behind, you can still hit the ball the other way because you have really good bat to ball skills, and you don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here is they made a change to try and make him do a little more damage to the pull side, which is something that personally I have had a lot of talks of, hey, you're not going to lose your ability to hit the ball the other way. So let's try and have you pull the ball more and do more damage to the pull side. And then if you get fooled or you're late on a pitch, you still have good enough bat to ball skills to poke it the other way and hit a single, right? But your damage is going to be done on the pull side. So I'm sure that the switch has something like that, or it's mental where now he's maybe looking, hey, I'm looking for pitches inside to do damage on and I'm going to be early, I'm going to be ready for it. So it could be a lot of things, and standing up maybe just gets him there, makes him feel more comfortable to be able to pull the ball in the air, do more damage, maybe have a little bit more forward momentum. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but just from a position player, a hitter's take, and how he's made this immediate change, there's a bit of those things that definitely have gone into it. And he's also had a lot of good pitches to hit, like the slider he hit down the line, that at 104 was a slider down the middle. He's doing damage on pitches that are mistakes. And at that point, you tip your cap and say, you are really executing on the pitches that are mistakes. And that's exactly what he's doing. So it just comes down to being able to do that and getting yourself into a position to be able to continuously do that. So he's done that.
And now that he has done it and he's shifted his, the conversation, I've compared it so much to last year with Miguel Amaya, because Miguel Amaya, last year there was a lot of a lot of fans, I obviously don't know the inner workings of the teams, probably a lot less than fans if I had to guess, were calling for his job. We're saying that he was a bust. We're saying that he wasn't no good at the major league level. And then he had a great second half and really saved his job, I think, in a lot of people's eyes. Matt Shaw, no one was ever questioning his job security at the major league level because we knew he was so young and still needed more at-bats. But now that he's had this immense hot streak in the second half so far in his 28 at-bats, the conversation has shifted a little bit away from Eugenio Suarez, but there is still a possibility the Cubs trade for him. If the Cubs traded for him, and Matt Shaw went more into this role of not being a bench bat, but being more of a playing every kind of third day, maybe giving Nico Horner a rest, maybe even giving Dansby Swanson a rest here or there. I mean, I'm sure he can play shortstop at a somewhat decent level. How do you think that would affect a player? We'll kind of take it away from Matt Shaw. How do you think that would affect a player mentally, knowing like he's doing everything right, and yet the Cubs still made a trade? I'm trying to think of how to word it, but if you can kind of pick up what I'm saying. Do you think this will affect his progression at the major league level if that were to happen?
I mean, I think it just depends on the player, right? Like if, let's say, for example, I'm a starter in the big leaguers, I'm center fielder, and I'm a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm obviously not having like an MVP season, and the team makes a decision to make a trade for an all-star caliber center fielder that's going to play over me. Sure, I would be upset, but at the same time, I would know that I have played well enough and I have been their starting center fielder. They have trusted me. So instead of being like, oh, I'm not playing, it would be more of what can I learn from this all-star veteran player that my team, that my organization is willing to trade cross top prospects for to play for us. That's what I would be more focused on. And I'm 100% sure that Shaw or whoever it is, at least, and I would hope, would be able to do that and be able to understand like, hey, like the organization's taking a different move. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn as much as I can from this player that's coming in. So then if maybe I get traded and they hold on to the guy, then I'm going to learn from what he told me. Or two, if he was just a rental and he's gone next year, now I learned what he had when he came in and I can improve my game. So that's what I would say. Like, it really just depends on the person, but I would probably say like 90% or more times, especially from a rookie standpoint, they're going to be more of a learner and a sponge in that position.
Yeah, and it sounds like from what we kind of know from Matt Shaw, because he's a fairly reserved guy. He's mentioned before, he's not on social media, so like all we kind of get from his personality is like post-game interviews and stuff, and even hearing from you, seems like he would definitely take that route of the learning route because, I mean, the dude's been on fire, and he's made so many adjustments to get there, and I'm still even on the fence. Like, I think they should still bring in Eugenio Suarez and just, again, strengthen numbers and make this lineup as good as it can. But nonetheless, it's been quite impressive, too, to see just how much better Matt Shaw shifted that conversation away from, hey, who can we get at third base, to, all right, we kind of have the third base. Let's allocate our assets other places. So it's been awesome seeing, and you've been the number one defender from the jump. You said don't worry about it, so I didn't worry about it either. So credit to you.
Yeah, he's a hard worker and he's consistent, so it'll work out.
Well, and it helps that Suarez is on a rental deal, so it's like, okay, Shaw, you're only going to be on the quote unquote bench for the next 2 months, because after that, then he's gone. Unless the Cubs were to re-sign him, I don't think they would spend that money. Then Matt Shaw, it's your job again. So like you said, it's a good learning opportunity, whether it's him. Willie Castro is another name that has been mentioned for third base. There's plenty of, I mean, oh man, if the Cubs could trade for Jose Ramirez, but that would mess things up with Shaw. But like there's always a positive here, as we've seen. And I thought when they do trades, like when someone gets traded, then it's like, oh, well, but they want me. That's a positive. Here in Shaw's, it's like, oh, okay. It's not like he's been bad. He has been one of the best players in baseball since then. It's just you can't beat a Eugenio Suarez who's hitting 37 home runs. You know, like that's a pretty tough bar to beat there. I did want to mention the draft. So the draft, I just really quick want your answer, Brett. Obviously, you had this a few years ago. Would you prefer it being during the All-Star break or doing it during sometime like the College World Series when it would probably have more players interested?
I mean, I liked it during the draft. it helped me like get my stock up. I was able to play in the Cape for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't really mind it either way, to be completely honest with you. It doesn't really affect me as like a player. I think that a lot of guys like the idea of it being during the draft because then they have a little bit more time to like after the season to be with family or do whatever, as well as do play in the summer, play in the draft league, try and get your stock up a little more. Um, but and it was, I'm pretty sure it was more for like a viewership type thing where they wanted it to be during the draft so then they could get a little more viewers because viewing has been down. If I remember reading correctly on like some article, they
Yes.
wanted it to be like all during the draft. So for me personally, I don't really have a problem with it being during the draft.
Yeah, and that's the a problem with it is that with all the negotiations for all the different slots and everything, no players are showing up. It's not like NFL or NBA, and there's clearly so many differences because in the NFL, as we've talked about many times before, if you draft someone, they're on the team next year. MLB wise, they're not on the team for 4 or 5 years, maybe sooner if they're like a first round pick, or if they're the Angels, they'll be on their team next week. But otherwise, it's going to be a bit. And so it's kind of different there in all the negotiations. No players really want to go. Two last things, and then we'll get going. I know you guys both got busy schedules. Home Run Derby. So it was fun. I don't know. I'm assuming both of you guys watched the Home Run Derby, or did both of you watch?
I did.
Okay.
Indeed.
So the Brett Rooker cow rally. There's some there's no way that I just wanted to brush over this topic because back, last week it was a hot topic in the baseball world, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. There's no way StatCast is that accurate. Like, it seems like MLB just wanted the cooler, more promotable guy to advance.
I would agree, and I'm gonna agree because I had financial income. I had U.S. currency on some other players that Cal Raleigh beat, but we won't go there. Yeah, by a couple of centimeters, that's a little crazy. I feel like because there's not trackers in the ball, are there? I mean,
No, and Brent Rooker even said he said like, "Hey, I wish they had told me," but also there's no way it's that accurate.
when do you think too? And like the promotability of that's not even a word, but I'm going to use it. The promotability of the home run derby, like they made it super fun in the All-Star games and the All-Star game, and then for the home run derby, they just let the one guy advance. Like have another swing off. Like just
Right.
keep them hitting bombs. Like when it comes to Wrigley Field, I always made that comparison as a kid. Like, oh, how would this go at Wrigley Field? And fingers crossed we get to see it in 2 years, given the CBA and the lockout all go according to plan, or hopefully it all gets shaken out in the least stressful way possible. But it was a good performance either way by Cal Raleigh. I like how he switched from the right to the left and then just stuck with the left because he was hitting bombs out that way. But no, the StatCast, that was not going to say rigged, but it was definitely interesting how they went about that.
Yeah, and some players even I was impressed. Some players were vocal about it and saying that's not fair. You gotta, and it's a promotional event, like you said. Do a swing off. What is it gonna hurt if you delay it by the next round by 3 minutes? They have time built in for those swing offs because that's normally what happens.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what were your thoughts on the home run derby and the All-Star game, the whole events?
I just know that the data that we get for our home runs do not go past it's usually like if you hit a home run, it's like 380 point something, and it's just one number, not however many numbers they said. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like it was a little bit rigged for Cal Raleigh. I have no clue. Maybe they do have that type of technology in for the home run derby. I kind of doubt it. I feel like sometimes the distance is also off, but could be entirely wrong. So.
Yeah, I want to touch on this real quick because this is it was part of the All-Star game that we hadn't seen really yet at the major league level. ABS system. Are you ready for? I mean, do you guys have it? You guys have ABS, don't you? Or no?
No, it's in AAA.
Okay. Are you ready for it? Have you had some situations
so
where you were like, no shot, man?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, umpires are umpires. Like they have one of the toughest jobs in sports, in my opinion. But it will be very nice to be able to use it.
Yeah, I think we as fans too were kind of ready for that jump because even in the All-Star game, I think it was against Randy Rosemarin or for
It
Randy
was
Rosemarin.
Scooble. Scooble was the one pitching for one of them.
I can't remember which one I'm specifically thinking in my head, but it was immediately guy went to his head, or maybe it was Raleigh. I forget. One of them
Yeah, it
just
was
went to their head
Raleigh
right
and
away.
Scooball, both of them. And they were mic'd up with each other, and he's like, we should challenge that. Got to challenge that.
Yeah, and they got it. And it was like, obviously the players are going to think that they had it, and the umpires are going to think that they had it. But like you mentioned too, it's tough for me to fall. Some umpires obviously have their days where they're bad, but I always love looking at the umpire scorecards. And if you can keep it around that average, I think that's really all you can ask for as fans right now.
Mhm.
But when that ABS comes, that's a whole new ball game. So I was curious about your thoughts. So that should be fun.
It's exciting, and especially the challenge system. I don't think fans or players, like, they all want a human element. Every player that I've heard talk about this still wants the human element. So that's why I think a limited amount of challenges is good. Same as for replay review. If you get it right, cool, and if you don't, sulk, go back and get mocked by your teammates for not being able to read the strike zone well enough. But it'll be interesting then to see which player is going to be like way too aggressive, and second inning he's like no, and then be wrong, and then they could have used it in the 8th or 9th innings. So I think there will be some strategy involved where either a coach says to one dude like, hey, you're off limits, like, no, you're not challenging for us, or they say, we don't want you challenging without 2 runners on, or when there's less than 2 outs, stuff like that. I'm sure the managers and players will get together for strategy when that becomes a thing, probably next season. I think that's it, because that's really all that I had. Obviously, we kind of talked about the Home Run Derby and All-Star game there, so wanted to keep it short, but hadn't done an episode in a few weeks, and obviously a big trade deadline coming up. So I
You
appreciate
guys are going to have your hands full.
Yes.
We might. We'll see.
We'll be busy.
It's busy. Yeah, no, I messaged Blake last night. I did a space at a Twitter space at 1 a.m. And I was like, Blake, do you want to join? And he's like, I'm in Vegas. No. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it's going to be.
I hopped in for a few minutes to listen, but yeah, I was on the strip losing money. So
Gonna be busy. Yeah, no, I'm going. It's an off day today. It's our last off day. So before the playoffs begin next week. So I'm gonna go golfing and hang out with some friends before the final stretch. Brett, did you ever try a donut burger? Did you get to try a donut burger at Red Wilson? No.
Eats eggs and avocado. You can get time for donut burgers.
But some of the players have tried them, and so I wasn't sure if you made the trek over.
I think I only played there once, and it was the first game of the year. So
now that because obviously I knew you played in the Cape, but now that I'm more familiar with it, you getting to play at Katuitt, that's the best park in the Cape. That's the best park in the Cape.
Or Brewster's Park is very nice.
Yes, Brewster's
is
nice.
Chatham's is really nice too.
Chatham's is nice. We played at Harwich yesterday. Harwich yesterday, and that was nice. But I think what really made me love Katuitt, not only that it's all encompassed by the trees and you're in a forest, but the zoomed out picture where it's like, hey, here's the park with the trees, and then the ocean's right here. So you just can't see it because of the trees. That is, and I have some friends that work for Katuitt, and it's like, that's the best park there is. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, it's well kept too. It's really well kept too. It's a nice field for kind of where it's at. So.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of hidden treasures out here. But anyways, that was episode 8 of the Cubbie Climb. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everybody, you guys know the drill. Follow, like, subscribe, comment, give us your trade deadline thoughts, and then obviously CubsInsider.com will have a bunch of other trade deadline coverage coming up within the next few days. Thanks, guys.
Peace.